Hello, my name is Dennis Maberry. I want to welcome you to my instructional video that goes along with my book, Practice Makes Perfect. In this video, I'll be covering the basic tones played on the drum, specific techniques played on the drum, and rhythm concepts taught in the book. Let's go ahead and get started. The first tone that I want to teach you is the bass tone. For the bass tone, you just want to drop the palm of your hand into the middle of the drum and bounce your hand off the drum head. I want to make sure that you're bouncing your hand off the drum head because the vibration of the drum head is what actually creates the tone. And if you keep it down too long, you're going to kill that vibration. You're not going to get a good tone. So make sure you bounce. Kind of pretend it's a basketball. Next tone is the open tone. What I do is I put my hands in the middle of the drum like this. Hopefully you can see this. And create a heart in the middle of my hands with my thumbs and fingers. And I just pull my hands back until the outer rim of the drum is right there where the fingers go into the palm. And like the bass drum, I bounce my hands off the drum. Same concept. If I keep it down too long, it's going to mute the drum. I'm not going to get a good tone. So make sure I'm bouncing. Also, if you'll notice, I'm playing with my arms and my wrist. A little bit of wrist, but I'm not playing like this. Mainly arms with a loose wrist. If you watch me play, one thing you'll notice is I try to stay as relaxed and loose as possible. You shouldn't have to tighten up to play, even to play fast. So even, that wasn't real fast, but even as I increased speed, I didn't tighten up. So combination of wrist and arms. Open, 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 open. Next tone is the slap. I have been to about probably 8 or 10 different teachers that have taught me different ways to play slaps. And as long as you're playing the slap and it sounds good and you're not hurting yourself and you're able to play it fast, then it's probably the correct way to play a slap. There's really no correct way. There's also different kinds of slaps, and I'm not really going to get into a whole lot of different kinds of slaps. I'm going to show you how I play a slap that's actually using this technique can get a good slap sound from a variety of different drums. What I do is put my hands as if I'm doing the open tone, then I move my hands in a little bit to where the rim of the drum is now at this line in my palm. And when I bring it down to hit the drum, I throw my fingers toward the middle of the drum. Depending on the type of drum head, I may have to cup my hand a little bit more with one drum head than the other, depending on how thick it is. Most of the drums that I play, I can just use the natural curve of my hand. I don't have to cup it or anything. This is a conga head with a thick conga or a cow skin. So with this drum, I have to cup my hand a little bit more to get that good slap. So just try it with the open contour of your hand, just your natural, and then adjust it whatever way you need to get a good slap. That's what I do when I'm playing the different drums. I've got several different kinds of drums. They all have different kind of heads. So I'll play a few slaps just to figure out where that slap sound is and where the sweet spot is, and then I'll remember it when I'm playing that drum. So open, open, slap, 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 open, 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 slap, 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 slap. when I'm playing that I'm playing slaps with the left and the right hand. One thing that I see a lot of when I'm watching different drummers is people that play with a slap with just their dominant hands. Turns out a lot of these people that I see playing this way are drum set players, and they almost play the slap like a snare drum, just on the accents. So they may play. You want to be able to play those slaps with the left or right hand so you can create more rhythms. All right, the next tone that I'm going to get into is the tip, where it's just the fingertips playing toward the edge of the drum, not way out here toward the far edge of the drum, maybe an inch, inch and a half in, and I'm just playing lightly with my fingertips. The purpose of this tone is just to fill in the spaces and make it groove a little bit more. Kind of fills in that spaces, creates a little bit more of a groove. They're not really meant to be heard, but I'm sure as you're listening to this, you can kind of hear them being heard. If I'm playing with an ensemble or playing with a band, you're not going to really hear those fingertips. You're going to hear the opens or the slaps. Playing solo, I actually don't mind those tips being heard because it fills in the groove and almost sounds like there's more than one drummer playing. The next tone is the mute tone, and it kind of serves the same purpose as the tips. But mute tone is played, there's your open. You're going to play an open, but you're going to keep your hand on the drum for just a second and mute it. So open, open, mute, mute, open, open. So once again, it fills in those spaces, creates more of a groove. It's kind of a timekeeper too. Rhythm in the book that uses a mute, and this is actually a Haitian rhythm. I don't really get into the cultural aspects in the book, but this is a Haitian rhythm. So rather than just doing more of a groove. And also, if you have a drum that rings really well, you can actually hear it, not so much in this conga because it's a lower tone drum, but if you get a nice open, it's ringing, you get that mute, you'll get a kind of a really cool sound. That's the mute tone. So next we're going to get into one of my favorite techniques to play, which is the heel toe. And it's also referred to as heel tip or heel toe. I've been told and taught heel toe, so that's what I use, but it's also called heel tip. That's because you're just playing the heel or the tips of your fingers with the heel of your hand. So heel tip, heel tip, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel tip, heel tip. Heel tip, heel tip, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel tip, heel tip. Kind of exaggerating it a little bit here to show you how to play it. When you actually start playing the rhythm, you're not going to exaggerate it. You're going to be so much, it's just going to be a rocking. Once you start incorporating the different tones, open, slap, bass with the heel tip, then it gets really interesting. Really fun technique to play. So that leads into the next concept, more of a concept than a tone, is playing with two drums. And the reason that the heel tip goes into the two drum concept is because the heel toe concept, heel toe pattern is played quite a bit in Latin music, Afro-Cuban music, conga music, using conga drums. And usually with conga drums, they're played with two or three or four, even 4 or 5 drums. But so if you get into Afro-Cuban conga music, you're going to see a lot of the heel toe. The great thing is you don't really need to study Afro-Cuban music. You don't have to have congas to be able to play these two drum patterns. They're still really fun to play. So, in fact, here's one without the heel toe pattern. Don't have to play the heel toe pattern, but it is really cool when you get into some of these conga rhythms. And what I've done is I've taken quite a few conga rhythms and put them into the book. And like I said, they're mainly traditional conga rhythms, but once you get into the book, you'll find out that I really don't go into the traditional background, but I did want to sneak some and put some traditional stuff in there. So if you wind up learning these patterns out of my book and then you go on later on to start working on some traditional rhythms, you'll start recognizing some of these patterns and say, okay, I already know that. So really good one to play two drum with a heel toe. Really fun to play. Takes a lot of practice to get it to where you can actually play it fairly fast, but once you get into it, it is really, really fun. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to play with sticks. So before I get started and anybody starts hitting their drum with a stick, if you have a goat skin drum head such as a djembe or maybe a shiko or some other kind of drum where you've got a really thin head, you don't want to start hitting that head with a stick because you're going to wind up breaking your head. So if you want to get into stick playing and practice it, but you don't want to break your head, what I would suggest is getting like a towel. I folded it over a couple of times, put it on the head, and then I've protected my head. And you can use this for practice and learning the techniques in the book. If you really start playing the stick parts and you really like it, the good thing is that with the stick drum rhythms, you don't really need a really high-end, expensive drum to get a good sound out of the sticks. You just need a drum that has a thick head, cow skin head. So, I've seen some used boogeraboos, used ashikos, used congas for, $100 or on up to make good stick drums. First rule that I use is don't hit your hand. And the way that I do that is I divide the drum head in half, and I keep my hand on one half and the stick on the other half. I would recommend learning these patterns and practicing these patterns slowly at first until you can get to where you can keep your drumstick on that side and your hand on this side. If not, you're going to slap your hand, hit your knuckles, and it's going to hurt. Thing you may notice too is I'm playing my drumstick. I'm not playing it like a drum set player. I actually do play drum set. So if I was playing a drum set, I'd be playing like this. I'm playing more from the side, not completely to the side like this, but to the side. I'm playing it really loose. The drum's mainly being held by the finger and the thumb, and then the fingers are over it, but it's really loose. Playing on the drum head, that is the stick open. In the book, it's just an SO, stick open. The left hand, I'm right-handed, dominant hand plays with the stick. My left hand is just playing bass open slap or heel tip. So here's a rhythm pattern. A variation of this is in the book. That's really cool. Oh, before I get into it, stick on the side is either played drum head or a drumstick on the rim. If you're going to do this, you don't want to hit it really hard. You don't want to mess up the rim of your drum. If you're afraid of messing up the rim of the drum, you can play the stick actually on the side of the drum. conga with chrome lugs. A lot of people will play the chrome lugs. This drum has rope, so I don't mind hitting the rope. If I had a drum that was just exposed wood here, I would not want to hit the side of my drum. So I just play the rim, and I've learned that I don't hit it real hard. The next technique that I'm going to show you is a flam. A flam is 2 strokes, one played right after the other, with a lighter stroke followed by a heavier stroke. Whichever hand plays the heavier stroke, that's the kind of flam it is. So if I'm playing a light stroke with my left hand and a heavy stroke with my right hand, it's the right hand flam, vice versa with the other hand. So right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. So you can play kind of like this slap. You want to be able to play flams, the right hand and left hand flams. Flams are used in traditional music. They're used for in the calls and breaks and in lead playing. But a good thing to do also with flams is just to add flams to other rhythms and rhythm patterns to create different variations and a little bit more excitement to the rhythm. That's what I did with this book, as I took some rhythm patterns from the front of the book and added them to the flam section in this book. So once you do some practice exercises to learn the flams, then you can take some patterns from the book and add flams to it. Once you work through the exercises and learn how to do this, then you can go back through the book and go through all the rhythm patterns, some of the rhythm patterns, and start adding flams in and creating some different variations of those rhythms. So for an example, a simple rhythm. So without flams, then with flams. I also mentioned that you can use some flams in some lead patterns. I'll play a little bit. I don't want to go too much into the lead stuff because this book is not made to teach you how to play leads, but just a couple of little lead phrases just to see how flams could be added. The next thing I want to talk to you about is a rhythm concept that's in the book. And this is 12-beat rhythm cycles. I have been taught to look at 12-beat rhythm cycles, such as 12/8 or 6/8, and look at them as 12-beat cycles subdivided into different pulses. So for example, I could subdivide it into a 4-pulse, 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, so a 4-pulse subdivision. Or I could look at it like a 6/8 and subdivide it into 6 pulses. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. What I've done in this book is I've taken both of those pulses and taken all the rhythms in 12-beat cycles and put them with a 4 pulse and the 6 pulse. Now some rhythms you're going to notice that may have a strong 4 pulse, and if you play it the way that you usually would play it, it'd be a strong 4 pulse and you wouldn't even think of it as being played with a 6 pulse. But what I've done is, by adding the 4 pulse and the 6 pulse and having you play both of them, is to learn to look at different rhythms in different ways and to feel different rhythms, how they're played in different ways. So the majority of the 12-beat rhythms can be played with a 4 pulse and 6 pulse. They're going to have a different feel. They're going to sound a little bit different. Not so much sound, but sometimes sound, because sometimes you automatically kind of emphasize or accent those pulses a little bit differently. But like I said, some of the rhythms are just going to be, you're going to be looking at it going, well, this is a 4 pulse rhythm. Why am I playing it with a 6? Because you get that experience of feeling it 2 different ways. There's different ways that you can play the pulses or feel the pulses. If you're used to counting, you can count them: 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And if you don't count rhythms, that's okay. You can either use your 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can use a metronome. The way that I do it is kind of a combination of both, but mine is mainly going by feel. How does the rhythm feel to me? So for a full pulse, or a 4 pulse, or a 6 pulse. So for example, I would take a rhythm that's got a real strong 4 pulse. 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, 1 tita, 2 tita, tita, 4 tita, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take that same rhythm and count it with a 6 pulse. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. Same rhythm pattern, same hand, completely different feel whether I'm playing it with a 4 pulse or a 6 pulse. So I think it's a really great idea to do both. That's why I've included both in the book. Give them, play them, see how you feel. Another good one would be, so if I play it with a 6, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and play that same thing with a 4. 1 tita, 2 tita, 3 tita, 4 tita, 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 1. Completely different feel, same rhythm pattern. So great exercise to learn how to do both the 4 and the 6 pulse. So when you see that in the book and you see why I've done the 4 and the 6 and you're trying to figure that out, that's the reason why. That's it for the video. Thank you again for purchasing the book and watching the video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me through the contact page on my website, rhythmspirit.com. Thank you again, and I hope you have many, many, many hours of study and practice with the book and through this video. Thank you.